We open on a pitch-black night. Rain falls in sheets, and lightning illuminates the deadly waves of a sea in storm. Another flash, and the silhouette of a ship is thrown into stark relief. White sails pitched against the dark depths. One of its masts cracks and breaks. A fire starts to catch, but is quickly extinguished by the sheer strength of the deluge. The cries of the crew are drowned out by the howl of wind and roar of thunder. We see the ship toss and turn before a horrible creaking cuts through the storm, and the ship capsizes, staying above the waves for a moment before being pulled down, down, down. Welcome to Dread.
All right. It's a new adventure.
I'm nervous.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Dread and Breakfast,
Hey,
the horror podcast
again.
where we all get together to tell a scary story.
Dun dun.
My name is Fabrice. I will be your dreaded today. And much like my name would imply, we're going to the ocean this time, guys, because I'm not actually a pirate captain, but if I were, this would be the episode that I would feature in.
The Dread Pirate Freeze.
The dreaded fob.
Oh, I get it now. Okay.
I'm here to pillage your village and take your booty. Give it up.
Yo-ho, yo-ho, a pirate's life for me.
So, you are all members of the Penn Family Salvage Company. You go out on the high seas to recover sunken treasure and scrap materials from shipwrecks. Your special brand of salvage sometimes includes blowing up the ocean floor to dislodge old wrecks and surface them for easier recovery. Is this possible in real life? I think so. One other thing that I should mention is that this story takes place in the mid-1990s.
Ooh.
Welcome to the past. We begin in your small office headquarters. We open on the leader of the crew, Captain Eugene Penn. Eugene, would you please describe your office to me and to the listeners?
Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Jacob, and I will be playing Captain Eugene Penn tonight.
Captain.
Ooh. My office is sparsely furnished with just cheap garage sale, just the desk and some shelves and stuff. There's just a perfectly normal, nice oil painting on the wall of a ship in the stormy night, and surrounding it, just a perfectly normal arrangement of newspaper clippings and historical documents and photographs, all connected with red string and, Post-it notes so I can keep track of all my clues, just like in a normal everyday office.
Perfectly normal.
That sounds reasonable. So Jacob, you obviously, as the head of a deep sea salvage company, are interviewing a prospective client. He's all but gotten the job from you, or you've all but gotten the job from him, mostly because of the vast amount of money that this individual is offering.
Oh.
But there is this one kind of final stipulation that has with you. You are leading this man into your office, and he says, Eugene, I really have to insist on this point. I think I can trust you now with this information, but I don't know about your crew. I really have to insist that I interview them.
But that's just simply not how it's done. The captain is in charge of the crew, the client gives us the money, and we go and salvage the thing. It's not your interaction with the mission ends in this office.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that, Eugene. If you want my money, you're gonna have to agree to my terms.
Well, I suppose that's not the only thing about this mission that goes a little beyond the ordinary. Just don't take up too much of their time. They've got important work to do.
I'll do my best. I am going to be thorough, though.
Oh no.
If you wouldn't mind vacating the office.
I suppose you 50% down payment, right?
He puts a fat wad of cash down on the desk in front of you. 75.
Oh.
All right then. I'll send them in.
You betray us that fast, Captain? Man. Wow.
He thanks you. You leave and go to bring in who?
I guess I should probably go by seniority. So that means I'm going to be sending in Billie first.
Oh my.
Excellent.
That's a choice.
So Christine, Billie, you
Hello.
enter the room. What does Billie look like?
Yeah, so Billie is like, she's younger. She's probably in like her early 20s, She is wearing overalls for sure, like overalls all the time, and like big boots, really like clomper boots. You know what I mean? So she's like,
I've
just
got you.
clomps into the room.
Okay. And who might you be? You see think like the archetypal like old man sailor who's like rough and weathered. There's like creases in his skin and face, and like his lines have lines, if that makes sense. Not weak or frail, just like
Hardened.
yeah, hardened.
Rode hard and put away wet.
Hardened is a good way to describe it. He's sitting in your captain's chair behind your captain's desk.
Why are you in your captain? You're in that's captain's chair. Why are you in captain's chair? That's not Captain Penn. He's in your chair.
I'll be conducting your interview from this side of the desk. Won't you have a seat? And he looks at a sheet of paper. Billie?
Yep, Billie, that's me. Billie sits down for like a second and then immediately pops up and goes to look over at the books on the bookshelf, even though she's seen them many times before. But they're just like really shiny and like full of stories.
I see. So is this typical behavior of yours, would you call it?
Typical. I mean, I guess so. I don't know. You should ask Patrice. She knows me the best.
And who is Patrice?
This is Patrice. And I reach into my pocket and I whip out a rock.
I see. And now I do have a question as the DM. Are there like eyes and a mouth painted on Patrice, or is Patrice just like a just a rock?
Patrice does have googly eyes.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're the special kind that have like eyelashes on them. She doesn't have a mouth per se, but there is like a nice little crevice in the rock a little bit, and she kind of looks like she has like a little smirk because she just knows everything, you know?
Okay.
How big
Thank
is
you.
Patrice? Could she fit in like your hand?
Yeah. She fits in my hand. She fits in my pocket. She goes with me everywhere.
Like baseball sized or
Smaller.
like golf ball?
A little bit bigger, and she's a little flatter, but also has like that one edge that's like full of all the like indentations. She's large and contains multitudes, like that Maya Angelou poem.
Do you talk to this Patrice often?
Oh, absolutely, and she talks to me too. You might even hear her every now and then, but she only really talks to people that she really, really likes. You know, she's got a lot to say, but only if you deserve to hear it.
Fascinating.
What's your name, by the way? I never caught your name.
My name is Bartholomew Orchid.
That's a long name.
Yup. And I see that your expertise aboard...
Demolitions.
Yes.
Of
Demolitions. How many years have you been doing that for?
Professionally, I don't know. are we professionals? Like, I always really liked fireworks as a kid, you know? It was one of those things that's like, when you do it as a kid, you just do it forever. Like, how long have you been doing it? I don't know. I just like, but it's like in me and I know it and it's all good.
Okay.
I've never been wrong. I'm very good at what I do.
That's good to know. And any friends, family, outside acquaintances?
The captain.
Just the captain?
And Patrice.
Okay. This doesn't seem like this will be an issue at all. Thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this enterprise, shall we say.
Agree to the enterprise. Agreed. Enterprise. Yep. Are we done?
We are. Could you send in, and he consults, like a ledger he has in front of him. Henry?
Yep. And it's Henry. And she clomps out of the room again. Henry.
Good God.
We're not going to get the job anymore, are we? Like,
Marissa, you don't understand. You have to get the job or there's no podcast. Marissa.
hello.
This leaves you now. You are playing...
I am playing Henry Hornwiffle, the resident geologist and navigator on our ship, which had a name, and I did forget it.
Charlotte.
The Charlotte.
It's the boat from that one Disney movie.
Oh my God, Jacob, that's good. But yeah, so Henry will very, very hesitantly kind of poke his head in the office. He is a little older than Billie. He's in his like mid-30s, a little portly, not like out of shape, but a little chubster. Wearing a plaid shirt that is tucked into his pants and has beautiful, perfectly rounded glasses and a very mousy kind of face.
And you see before you I guess rather imposing figure sitting across from you, and he looks up at you as you come in and he says, "Henry, is it?"
Yes. Hello. My name is Henry Hornwiffle. Henry slowly crosses the room and like lowers himself in the chair, kind of like looking around nervously.
Does Henry walk or does he putter?
He putters for sure.
Okay, cool.
Perhaps like between a waddle and a putter. Absolutely.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. And he kind of holds out his hand to you, which is covered in a little bit of dirt, tastefully so. But, maybe he was doing some geology stuff before he came in.
Okay, but he would know that it's called soil and not dirt. Sorry, my civil is showing.
I'm so sorry, my mistake. Covered in soil.
Bartholomew extends a hand and like grasps yours. His grip is like very firm and he has like an iron grip of a hand.
Henry flinches appropriately.
And what do you do aboard the Charlotte?
Oh, I'm our navigator and I'm also a geologist by trade, so making sure, any of the undersea flora, fauna, and especially the landscape is appropriately handled. Billie gets a little carried away sometimes, and we just want to make sure everything's structurally sound for the environment when we're done with it.
Good.
You hear Billie clomp past in the hallway.
Good. It seems like that one might need some guidance or...
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Did she show you Patrice?
She did.
I'm so sorry. She took that from... Patrice is a sedimentary rock that's in my collection. I've been trying to get it back from her for, a couple of years now, but she's surprisingly competent.
Was she the one that put the googly eyes on it?
I mean, well, I certainly didn't.
Okay. Or no, I think he'd just go,
Excuse me, Mr. Orchid. This is highly irregular for us to be interviewed. What is it that you would like to know?
I need to make sure that I can trust you, lad.
I mean, I have a very good credit score.
He doesn't seem to know what that is. But he looks at you and he says, "Any friends or family in these parts?"
It's just me and my aunt Josephine. I write her letters a lot.
And you're good at keeping things to yourself if you have to?
Yes. Is this I'm sorry, Captain Eugene didn't really tell us much besides we had a prospective client. What exactly are you wanting us to salvage, sir?
I'm after a box, boy. A box that was lost in a shipwreck.
A box. Like a coffin? Because the way you said it made it sound really sinister.
No, I'm after what's in the box, but that's for me.
Okay. I'm uncomfortable now.
You seem fine, lad. Go get your captain and bring him back in here.
Oh, okay. It's a pleasure.
I'm sure it was.
And I putter swiftly out the door and probably trip over my shoelaces and go get Captain Eugene.
All right, Jacob, you are back in. Eugene has stepped in the room. So Bartholomew is still in your chair. It's not a great chair, but it is your chair, and it's on your side of the desk. Oh, also, as you come into the room, what do you look like?
Well, yeah, I'm coming in. I stepped outside real quick to have a smoke, so I'm going to take off my big yellow rubber raincoat. Underneath, I've got, of course, a big chunky blue turtleneck, just standard black slacks and whatnot.
Are you the Long John Silver's mascot?
No, I'm Captain Eugene Penn. But coming in and seeing him in my chair, that, of course, doesn't feel great to me. Excuse me, sir. I said you could use the room, but I didn't say you could use my chair.
I wasn't exactly asking.
Well, if you don't mind, I am back, so...
He doesn't really move from your chair. He just kind of sits and stares you down. And it is at this point, Jacob, when I need you to make a poll.
Oh, dang.
And everyone
First
else
poll of the night
will also have to make a poll for introducing their characters.
Now listen, I love both of your characters. I find it fascinating that we are able to run a successful business together.
Ooh, Jacob, good poll. Billie, if you could please make a poll.
Can Patrice make my poll for me?
Patrice can, of course, make your poll for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And I chuck the rock at the tower. Just kidding.
So you're sacrificing yourself
Amazing.
immediately.
No.
The first polls of the night are always the most exciting. Oh, why did you go for that one?
It's just how Patrice was leading me. I'm sorry.
Marissa, Henry.
Which block are you going to pull for your intro poll?
Okay,
That's a
that
decent
balances it.
choice. That's such a Henry block to pull.
What does that mean?
That's really funny. I like that. So, Eugene, you and Bartholomew are staring each other down when you kind of you get a slight shiver running down your back, but you kind of you shrug it off and you continue staring this man down until he does eventually get up out of your chair.
Yeah,
and
way
move
to go,
around
Captain.
to the
Stand your ground.
I don't know, the non-you side of the desk.
Well, you're still here, so I guess that means the crew passed. Should we begin preparations?
I think we should. Have a seat and I'll tell you about the job. Over 100 years ago, a ship, the Rising Tide, sank below the waves. I've already located the wreck site, but I need your crew to go out and salvage from it for me a box. You'll know it because it should be the only metal box on board, and you'll see the initials G.O. on the box.
An all metal box. That's a little odd to be on a vessel of that age, but it does sound very familiar to another wreck near and dear to my heart. The Drake, I believe I was telling you about it earlier.
Is that the picture on your wall?
It is, and it's also where the treasure lies.
You mentioned the Drake several times.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to being ready to go and salvage her hull. This job actually sounds like it could be a pretty good practice run for us. As a matter of fact,
I hope it is.
Very well then. We'll begin preparations, and we should be set to set sail on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Is that a normal amount of time? How long should I have said?
We didn't really specify what day it
Tuesdays
is.
are fine. Tuesdays are fine. According to my list of sailing superstitions, it's bad luck to sail on Thursday, Friday, the first Monday in April, the second Monday in August, or December 31st. Tuesdays are fine. Please continue.
Tuesday is safe.
I have one final request. And here
Jesus.
he puts another wad of cash on the table in front of you. I'm going to be coming along with you. And thwack. So, you are all on board your ship, the Charlotte. You have been out to sea for one full day now, so I guess it would be Wednesday. Based on the location that Bartholomew has given you, you're getting fairly close to where the wreck should be. The journey so far, very uneventful. Bartholomew mostly keeps to himself. There weren't enough bunks in your ship for all of you and Bartholomew. You don't normally take passengers, but he didn't seem to mind. He strung up a hammock from the mast to the railing. He's just keeping to himself. He's happy to stay in his hammock. He doesn't wear a life vest. This bugs you, but that's it. He's absolutely not.
Henry will ignore this man as much as humanly possible.
That's fair.
Billie is really fascinated with the hammock because she's never seen anyone sleep in a hammock on a ship before.
If you asked him about it, he would tell you that it's very nice because it rocks with like the sway of the boat. So it actually...
Billie mainly likes it because it's like a really good hiding spot. You can just like go in and like fold one side over one side and then the other on the other. And then you're just in this little cocoon and you're just like sitting there and you're like totally enclosed in it.
So you're all doing basically your normal duties. You're expecting that today will be the day that you probably put in anchor above the wreck. And we go to Henry, who is in... I guess at the bridge, because you are the navigation specialist.
Hell yeah.
Therefore, you probably usually have control of the wheel.
This is exceedingly funny to me because I, as like a real human being, am so bad at directions. It's not even funny.
It's not. We drive to my work, which is in the same town that we live in. And we get there, and every time you're like, "Oh my God, how did we get here?" And it's just we
fine.
go
It's a
straight down.
line.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we go
one
straight
street.
down one road.
It's really bad. But Henry is very good at his job, and he will be, using all of the instruments and also using, I'd imagine, charts of the ocean floor to make sure that. That we're not going to hit like a big reef or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So you also your boat is equipped with a new sonar system that your captain bought you, and is a little jank, maybe.
Oh,
it's of course on. You have it like it does the ping sound.
Now, Jacob, did you buy a less expensive equipment for our boat to save money for your eventual Drake recovery treasure hunt?
It was the best we could afford at the time.
Wow.
How much different could it be than the fancy ones anyway? It's all just sound bouncing off of rocks.
Actually, it's very different because this one has like a 30% risk of failure at any given point. I read the reviews on Amazon.
Well, that's 70% more working than the last one we had. So.
Oh, but nevertheless, Henry is like double checking the jank equipment.
So far, you haven't noticed any discrepancies between the two. So as far as you know, the jank equipment is working completely fine.
Jacob, don't give me that smug smile. It can malfunction at any moment.
At that exact moment, you see a blip appear on like the edge of the sonar coming from behind you.
Oh, could I tell if this is like a large sea creature, perhaps a whale shark? Is it moving towards us, or does it look like
It seems to be moving, yes. Like the sonar passes again, and where it was, there are now 3. And they're still moving in your direction.
Oh. And this would have to be like a really big thing to trigger the sonar, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't be like just a fish. I mean, there probably are sonar that work for that. Hi, everyone.
There are.
We are not boat people.
They're called fish finders. I actually know all about them.
Okay, so as I'm learning right now
This
in
exists.
real time, fish finders are real. However, as you are not a fishing vessel, you probably don't have one of those.
Okay. Can I look behind us to see if I see like a pod of dolphins or
The navigational hub of this ship is like in the ship, and to like look behind you, you kind of would like climb up a small set of stairs to go like on deck.
Yeah, I'd pop up there real quick. Captain, you should see this.
What is it now, Henry?
The sonar. There's a big group of things.
Are we chasing after some damn whales again?
No, whale sharks. Actually, they're not whales. But no, this seems to be chasing us.
Henry, as you look out over the waves, you feel this sense inside of you kind of like drawing you in, and I need you to make a pull.
Okay. Why couldn't it have been whale sharks?
One day. But today is not that day.
Today is not that day.
I've done it.
Hurrah!
Congratulations, Henry, on your successful pull. So you're feeling this tug at you, pulling you towards the water. You get a chill run down your spine, and you sort of shake it all off, and that sensation goes away right at the moment that a humpback whale kind of just crests the water, and you see it jet spray up into the air, and you see a small pod actually travel past you.
Oh, I rush back into the navigation thing. I open a drawer and I pull out my marine animal bingo sheet that I have made.
And is, of course, only missing a whale shark to be crossed off before I reach bingo.
And I cross off humpback whale, and I'm so excited about it.
Dang it, Henry, again with the whales.
These are humpback whales. I haven't seen them in a pod in quite some time. I mean, look at how majestic they're coming up.
We have a job to do. Can we please get back to the job?
Look, I'm only one spot away from bingo, okay? I'm really excited about it.
Bartholomew doesn't react to this. He is in his hammock and just kind of rocking back and forth with like a hat over his eyes. You can't. Maybe he's asleep. Maybe he's not. You don't really know.
Maybe he's dead.
Maybe.
This is Dread and Breakfast after all.
Yeah, I'll return to my actual job per my captain's request and navigate us towards this wreck.
Yeah. You get there eventually. It's around like just before noon, let's say, before when you get there. It's an overcast day. Bartholomew still in his hammock, doesn't seem to wake up.
Still in the hammock, and he's always in the hammock and asleep. We've been on this boat forever and ever and ever. I'm bored and I want to blow some.
Hey, Billie.
Manner.
Hey,
What?
Why don't you go wake him up and maybe just tell him that we've arrived?
Oh, are we there? Are we here?
You're at the coordinates that he gave you.
Finally! Oh my gosh! So Billie clomps over to where the hammock is laid suspending, and she reaches out one finger to go and poke.
Okay. And as you do, Billie, you get the kind of like a strong smell of like sea brine and just like salt water. And granted, you are on the ocean, so, not horribly out of place. But could you make a poll for me?
Oh.
Pull for salt water on the ocean?
A poll for disturbing this man's sleep.
I was instructed to.
I feel like this man could kick Billie's. Well, I don't know actually who would win in a fight if it came down.
Billie is
to
very
it.
scrappy. You never know.
Thank you for your poll. You give this man a firm prod, I think to the face, right?
Yes, and I also I'm like below him poking, and I hold Patrice up so that he can awaken to Patrice's beautiful little face.
Googly eye.
Fantastic. So you do, and you hear, we're here then, are we?
I believe so. There was a whale too, but I don't know. I think you slept through that too.
I've seen plenty of whales in my time.
Whales always an exciting time. Whales and salt. But I think we're here, and I think Henry wants you.
Tell him I'll be right there.
Okay,
he says, and he kind of like sits up in his hammock. He's still basically wearing the same clothes that you first met him in. It's basically like a big oversized jacket, trousers, suspenders, and then a striped shirt.
We kind of match. Because I'm not wearing suspenders, but I am wearing overalls, and I have a striped shirt underneath. And I do change the shirt out every day, but it's always a striped shirt.
You've got a good sense of fashion, I see.
It's good because this is easy for me to move around in. It's not restrictive at all. And Patrice fits in my pocket right here. And I also can keep a notebook right here. And she whips out a giant notebook that is just like completely filled with mathematical scribbles. All of them are correct, but it's just like a mad scientist notebook of equations and mass balance and just all of the math figurings that she needs to figure out all of her demolition stuff.
Whoa.
That's very impressive. Where did you say that Henry was?
In the navigation room. I'll go get him. And she clomps off.
All right. We cut to Henry and Bartholomew meeting like halfway between his bunk and the navigations. Bartholomew seems a little tired, but looks at you and says, "Found it, did ya?"
These are the coordinates that you gave us. So the wreck should be pretty much underneath us at this point.
Excellent. Then you all are ready to dive?
Oh, I mean, there's some other preparations. We have to get our dry suits on. This one's pretty deep. And I look towards my captain for instructions.
Well, newbie, yeah, if you say we're here, we'll drop the anchor and get our gear set. We're starting to lose daylight, but we should have time to do a quick survey dive before the day ends.
Survey.
I
can figure out measurements. I need to take measurements.
Could you not call me? I've been working here for 3 years. Could you not just call me that in front of our client, please?
But you are the newbie.
But 3 years experience on your crew.
Anyway, newbie, set the anchor.
Well, I'll be here. Let me know if you find the box. Don't open it.
What? Why?
Why not?
Why not?
Why can't we open the box? What's in the box?
That's for me to worry about. You were hired to retrieve the box.
Retrieve the box. Retrieve the box.
Yeah,
Just
now,
Patrice
guys,
maybe knows.
it's his salvage. We'll leave the loot to him. You'll all get your cut.
I want to know. So I hate not knowing things. Damn it.
And splash! You guys are now all below the waves, and you are diving down. As you go, you've all, of course, experienced this before. You're all very accomplished divers in your own right. You start to lose color. Reds are the first things to go as you go down. Then you can't see orange anymore. Then yellow. Then green. And finally, you're in a blue world. Everything is different shades of blue, some greens, but not as many. You're going down and down, further and further. You're hugging, I guess what would be like an underwater sort of mountain as you just keep diving further and further down. The ambient light is starting to fade, so you flip on your own lights. And then color comes back into focus. You see corals, you see oranges and reds and blues, greens and purples, all like over this rock formation. And as you kind of you come down into this sort of valley made out of these rocks, and you crest a bend in the valley, and you see this gigantic ship, clearly very old. It's wooden. It has or had 2 masts, both of which are broken now. The hull itself is largely intact, though you do see like a big hole in it where it must have smashed against the rock.
This is the rising tide.
This is the rising tide. You see, I guess, painted on the sides of it, the words, the rising tide, but they're all barnacled over and hard to make out. It's sitting on a rock formation. It's kind of in the valley, but on this giant plateau. The ship is encrusted in barnacles and just seaweed. The wood is clearly rotting. And that's what you see. The wildlife around here, there's fish swimming about. They all kind of, avoid you for the most part. But that is what you see.
So Billie would kick her fins and start taking some measurements of the boat. What angle it's at. She would start to measure the holes in the hull of the ship as well.
Okay.
Just to get a sense of how big it is, where it's being held in versus what areas might more freely be freed from the rock.
Okay. So Billie, you're taking notes, measurements, recording all this data. Eugene, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to do a lap of the ship and just start to get my bearings. As I do, I note this ship looks very similar to the Drake. It might have come from the same shipyard, or it definitely seems to be from about the same era, and I'm starting to calculate if there might be any clues hidden here as well.
As you are doing a lap around the ship, you get to the far side, over the hull, over the masts, or what's now left of them, and the valley and the rocks just kind of fall away behind it. You see the floor of the ocean just kind of sink away beneath you, and there's just this vast emptiness in the ocean, and you feel a slight pull, just pulling you in that direction. And now ocean currents, very much a thing. It could be that you are just you swam into one of those. You're not sure, but I do need you to make for me a pull.
I don't like this. This is freaking me out.
Isn't there a poem that's like the pull of the sea, or like the sea is dark, and now I gotta look this up.
Thank you very much, Eugene, for a successful pull. As you get this feeling, you feel kind of like that same feeling you got when you were staring down Bartholomew. You get kind of like that same feeling of just slight unease, but nothing you can't manage. And you quickly turn back to swim. You know, you don't like having this huge expanse underneath you. And as you do swim back, you look at that area. You have a flashlight on. You have your lights on, and you see kind of like the glint of something. It seems like it's metal.
Oh,
down in the depths.
Is the box? Does
it seem square?
It does not.
Oh.
What shape does it seem?
So as you go to investigate this like glint of metal, you see what looks to be a fairly modern vessel that seems to have also sunk here. Clearly not the Drake. You're sure of that.
Damn.
You're absolutely positive. This is a metal boat, not the grand ship that was the Drake. But you get closer. You're curious. This is odd and interesting, and you shine your light on the side. You're able to see painted letters on it, HMS, and then SALV. And then it seems like after that point, the paint is sort of eroded away. The HMS is all H period,
Right.
M period, S
Yeah.
period. So like some kind of initialism. And then SALV all would be one word. There's more to it than that, you can tell, but you're not sure what it is. The paint has been peeled away.
Would we know of any competition salvage companies with those initials on them?
Good question,
Because my
Marissa.
first thought is somebody else tried to salvage this wreck and had a whoops-a-doodle.
Oh no. Well, it's probably because they didn't have Patrice with them.
Of course,
Protect
of course.
them
It's
and to double check their calculations.
I mean, I'm not sure. Would you be familiar with it? I guess you would probably. Yeah, you're familiar of Hobart, Mike, and Schmidt Salvage. You weren't aware of them being contracted out for any kind of mission. Certainly, Bartholomew didn't mention anything like this. You also were unaware of Hobart, Mike, or Schmidt having any kind of accidents or losing a vessel recently. So, you know.
Okay, and this wreck seems recent.
This wreck seems fairly recent. It's not it's not fully barnacleized.
Interesting.
But that is what you see. And we will, I think, cut over to Henry.
Well,
Henry.
at the risk of sounding utterly anticlimactic, I'm looking at some rocks, man. What type of rocks? What would the
Fantastic.
consequences of an explosion to them be? How sturdy are they? How many cute, adorable critters have made their homes in these rocks, et cetera, et cetera?
Amazing. So you notice you notice quite a bit. There are less wildlife than you would normally expect in this kind of an area. Not to where it's concerning or suspicious, but where if there was like a range of normal, this is definitely lower, if that makes sense. But nothing that like piques your interest.
I'm sorry, what word did you just attempt to use?
I said nothing that piques your interest.
Nope. Try again.
Nothing that piques your interest.
I'm in hell.
The pronunciation police are going
Jacob
to come
just
for
fucking
us.
left. You made Jacob fucking leave. Like. So I am looking at rocks.
You notice that this rock seems weird. It doesn't seem like coral, but it's porous and it's not spongy in texture, but it's spongy in appearance, if that makes sense.
Could I chisel off or break off a sample to take back up?
Of course. As you start kind of like chipping away at the rock, you feel as though you're being watched. You feel like there are like eyes on you. It's like that prickling feeling in the back of your neck, like the hairs are starting to stand up. Yes?
Can I look around?
Yes. Please make a pull.
I thought you were gonna say that. A lot of pulls today.
This tower is beginning to, what did you say? Piquet my concern.
We're getting you guys.
Peasy.
Okay. So yeah, you're able to collect a sample. You turn around to see like this feeling, this nagging sensation, and you see like particles in the water, so the water down at this depth, there's just like particulates kind of floating all around you. You do see kind of some of them sort of like whoosh, as though something might have like darted through them or moved past them quickly.
Ooh.
That is what you notice.
We're gonna hope that was a fish. Can I try to... We can talk to each other underwater, right? Like we have radios or whatever? I'm sure they're not called radios.
I actually don't know. I'm not sure. Probably.
I don't know. Would the captain have sprung for
Yeah,
that?
Captain, did you spring for radios? Or is the universal okay hand sign good enough for you?
No, I feel like for this level of mission, radios are something we would seek out and invest in. Were they new radios? No. Do they work? So far,
Okay.
Did you purchase them when Radio Shack was still a thing?
Well, this is the 90s, right? Like...
This is, this is like 90s. This is peak Radio Shack.
So the answer
So
is
the
yes.
answer is 100%
yes.
yes. Radio Shack was the bomb right now.
And Radio Shack apparently sold very specific diving equipment.
Why not?
This episode sponsored by Radio Shack.
Oh, rest in peace. But I would like to radio my
Shack.
shack. Hey, are you guys okay? Did you guys see a big fish just now? Big fish. No big fish. Just big ship. Big ship.
You see Billie pop out from like behind the ship. Like Billie just suddenly like swims up and like sees you and gives you a wave.
Yeah, it tracks.
Eugene, you're hearing this call right as you kind of like you've just sort of discovered the ship, your newly discovered ship.
No, not any fish. There is another vessel down here, and it looks fairly new. It could be ripe for the salvage.
Captain, if you want to look at that one, maybe Billie and I can check out the rising tide.
All right, I'll take a look around here, see if this might be something worth coming back for. You guys, you get the lay of the land and be ready to find that loot and bring it up tomorrow.
Aye, Captain. Hey, Billie, there's a big hole in the ship. Do you want to spot me? Go in?
Yes. Adventure in. Yes.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me.
Absolutely, I will.
Make my way.
And
Over to you.
I speed on over, flailing as I swim. Probably not the most efficient way of swimming, but getting there nonetheless.
So you meet outside the hole leading in and you both go in. Henry, are you leading?
Probably.
Okay.
Because I don't want Billie to dart in.
And I 100% would.
Yeah.
Okay.
I might be the new guy, but I know that much.
Okay. So, Henry, you ease yourself in. You are both aware that, like, inside a wreck, you're wanting to move deliberately and, like, slowly because
Yes.
all of the sediment in here has been here for at least 100 years. And there's a lot of it. And if you kick up a lot of currents in the water, you're going to sandstorm yourself. And not, I was just going to say, not the fun kind of sandstorm, but the bad kind where you can't see.
It's not the 2000s yet. We don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
Damn, our pop culture references mean nothing.
I want to point out that for as much of like chaotic energy that Billie has, like she is good at her
Okay.
job. And so
Yeah.
like these safety measures she does take very seriously.
Yes.
But yeah, so Billie, you and Henry kind of enter. The hole is in the bottom of the hull. So you kind of like, you work your way up. There's a ladder leading up to the upper deck. You find yourselves in like the cargo bay. You look around and you don't see the box. You keep going, making your way fairly methodically through the whole of the ship. When you come to the captain's quarters, you try the door and it's very difficult. The hinge, like the wood is rotten, but the hinges are like rusted shut. What do you do?
Can we break the door?
You could.
I don't know. What do you think, Henry? Should we break the door down? Yeah, have at it. There she blows.
Do I have any tools with me other than like my measurement equipment and that sort of stuff?
I think you would probably have like very small, not like demolition materials, but like
No.
a hammer,
Yeah.
a some sort of like cutting device, things like that.
So Billie would take the hammer and like start trying to like whack the hinges of the door to see if maybe, even if they're rusted, if whatever they're connected to is rotting, maybe they would just,
Fall out.
pop off and then the door.
Okay. So Billie, as you go to, I guess I should say this door is located towards the back of the ship and it's in a hallway. This whole like scene is kind of a little bit disorienting for you because the ship is on its side. So you're,
Okay.
it's a bit weird because you can
yeah.
still tell which way is up. But yes, Billie, as you start like doing like, little taps and then you go back, you wind back for like a more powerful swing.
Absolutely.
You feel as though you're being watched. And you look back to your left, and there's Henry, and Henry is watching you. But that's not like...
And Patrice is watching me from above on the ship.
And Patrice is watching you from above, as always. But seeing Henry and thinking of Patrice, that does not quiet the tingles at the back of your neck. And so you look off to your right, and I need you to make me a roll.
Oh, no.
Right. And to my right, I see a tower that is similar but legally distinct
From
from
Dread.
Jenga.
Oh, this is really spooky.
Dun, 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 dun. Simple. I use my little hammer to ding, ding, ding.
You do. So you look to your left and you see Henry there, and then you look to your right, and this hasn't happened to you yet, but you see a trail as though the particulates in the water were disturbed recently. And in a very like sudden manner.
That raises my anxiety response. I'm still okay, but Billie is now like one tick more on edge.
Okay. That's troubling that there were more ticks to go, but I'm
Does Henry notice this also?
You could make a poll to notice. Because in my mind, the door to the captain's room is kind of like at the top part of like a U bend in a hall, and so Billie is like right at the center, hammering on the thing, and Henry is sort of like off to one part of the U, if that makes sense. And this movement happens on the other side of the U. So if you would like to make a pull, Henry, you could be situated in such an exact spot that you would see this like trail of particulates. But if you don't, that's okay too.
You know, I'm feeling spicy. This tower's not that bad. I'm gonna do it.
We have our first optional poll.
Marissa is making another poll.
I should remind the audience that if a player, that side's looking horrible.
It's fine. I did it.
Fine.
But at any point, if one of the players wishes to opt out of a poll, which they are allowed to do for any poll for any reason, they simply just don't do the thing that they were trying to do. So in this case, Henry, you wouldn't have seen the trail, but because you were spicy, you do.
Okay. I would try to like follow that path.
Okay, so yeah, you go around Billie and you start going down the other side of the hallway. Billie, as Henry is doing this, you do like a tap, 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 and then a great big thwap. And
almost a thwack,
almost,
would you
but
say?
not quite. And you are able to hit the metal hinges. I think you probably have like a hammer and a crowbar to do this, and you're able to like hammer the crowbar in and like angle it and like pry it open. And you push at the door, and the door will open. Do you want to go in? Do you want to follow Henry?
Absolutely.
What do you want to do?
I want to radio to Henry and say, "Door! I got the door open. The door's open. I'm going in. I'm going in."
Okay, Billie, just be careful. I'll meet you there in a second. I saw a thing.
Mysterious, as we should expect from Spicy Henry.
Wow.
But we'll stick with Billie for a second. So Billie, you open the door and you see a room fairly similar to the one like your captain's office back on shore. There was a desk in here, there were chairs, and there was a bed. It's all jumbled and fucked up now because, it's been underwater for 100 years.
100 years, yeah.
In the jumbled pile of stuff, you also see a little bit more solidly in the floor a box.
Oh.
Are there letters?
There are letters on it.
What are the letters on the box?
G-O.
Oh my gosh, I found it. Okay, so I would radio to the whole team.
Okay.
G-O metal box. I found the metal box with the G-O, and here it is. Oh, can you get it up?
How big is this box?
Fairly large, but the best comparison I have would be like it's about as big as like a mellophone case. But like that's
exactly what that is.
That's incredibly specific.
Like a large suitcase.
It's like a large suitcase. Like a suitcase you would have to check through customs.
Oh, okay. Okay, wait. Question. Why do we need to blow up the surroundings and bring the ship to the surface if the box that we're after is like small enough that I could carry it? Like, why?
It sounds like maybe now we don't.
Yeah.
Well, there might also be salvageable things on this boat. Like, it might still be worth raising. But that's more of a you-all decision. You have found the box. You haven't tried to move it yet.
Okay. Do I hear anything back on the radio?
That's friends.
Excellent. Great, Billy. Everything else from here on out is just profit. Then, do you think we can? Do you think we can just get it up tonight, or should we come back and stage it a little better? Maybe fire up the winch.
Let me see. Because you know how much I love explosions, but if we can't get it up, then it makes the little explosions a little less. I can be a little more fun, have a little more fun with it. Let me see if I can pick it up.
And so I go to try and hoist this box.
You do. And as you do, it has like metal handles on the sides, and they're rusted, but you're able to kind of like make them work. And you go to lift, and you can't move it.
Is it stuck or is it too heavy?
Looking down, you see there are like barnacles all on the side that seem to be almost fusing it with the boat.
Can I use my crowbar to chip away?
You can. You start to try and like chip away, and again you get that like really uneasy feeling, like you're being watched, like something's watching you. Yeah, that's because that's what being watched is. God damn it. And I would need you to make another pull.
Oh no!
Again, you can always refuse.
No,
pull.
I'm not a coward.
Okay.
Do it.
I'm going to pull from the tower.
Okay.
Now listen, whatever's watching us is probably just very proud of Billy for getting this far and doing a great job.
I'm finding it so quickly.
Here we go.
It's fine.
That's fine.
From the top, no big deal. All right, I look
Yeah.
around the room. What's watching me? I'm going to watch it right back.
So you're holding your light on the box, and you look through the doorway, like without shining your light on it for a second, and you just see darkness. You can't really perceive anything on the other side of the door, and you feel almost like drawn in. And then you shine your light and you just see the hallway, and it's fine, and there's nothing there, and you don't see anything in the room. You shake it off and continue to chip away, and as you do, we cut to Eugene.
Oh, that's me.
It is. What has Eugene been up to these past let's say this past half hour or so?
Well, I've been trying to survey this new mystery ship that's all ours. I discovered it, so I have the salvage rights.
Is that how that works?
I think
Finders
so.
keepers.
So Mr. Orchid upstairs has no claim to any of these profits.
Oh.
So,
snap.
Yeah, this is all ours. We're going to see what's down here.
Okay. So you see this boat. It is sunk. It did kind of like crack in the center. Think like a fortune cookie.
Oh.
Is there also a paper center?
There is not a paper center. There are, however, several decks for you to explore and very easy access into them, provided that you are careful entering, because again, this is a metal boat, which means metal things and badness.
Very technical.
You can enter the boat. If you do, I would require a pull.
Dun dun.
Okay. And we're doing okay on air. Like, we've still got some time.
Oh, yeah. No, you've got time to check stuff out. Just you want to remember not to like overexert yourself, because the heavier you're breathing, the faster you do run through your air supply.
Got it. Yeah, I'll take your poll. I'd like to...
Man, everyone's
to
bold
head into-
today.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try to head into the bridge or any type of command center, see if there's any like logs or manifests, anything that might be helpful in this salvage operation.
Sure.
All right. Pull.
So for the listener who may not be
You.
as familiar, as clearly we all are with these nautical terms, what is a manifest?
It's like a list of what's on the boat.
Cool. Thanks.
That's I think that's fairly succinct. I like that.
Yeah.
That's my specialty.
Jacob, fairly succinct.
So Congratulations on your successful pull. You managed to wiggle around the sharp edges of this boat. None of it piercing your dry suit or puncturing your tanks, because that would just be a real humdinger of a bummer, wouldn't it?
Oh, no.
Yeah, that can happen. But anyway, you wiggle your way into this ship. The layout of this is not exactly the same as your boat, the Charlotte, but it's similar enough where you can kind of like navigate your way around the hallways.
Yeah.
So you find your way to like the navigational center, and you find like a ledger, but most of it is unreadable at this point. It's fairly like waterlogged. It wasn't like or would I don't know, would it be waterproof paper? Is that a thing? I'm going to say that's a thing.
I mean, it exists. I don't know if you would do it for your ship. I was also going to say, wouldn't it all be on computers? But as we've established, it's 1990s.
It is
so
Yeah.
90s.
So it would be like a physical ledger, and I don't think any of it would have like really survived. Like you don't have like a manifest or anything like that.
Is there a fancy, shiny, newer sonar?
There is a let's say a different, much more waterlogged sonar.
Oof.
But it's a boat thing. Wouldn't it be waterproof?
Maybe.
God says no.
You can make a pull for it to be waterproof.
How bad you want this sonar, Henry?
You know, I will take the jank one that has not been underwater for an undisclosed amount of time. Thank you for thinking of me.
This is fair. I note its presence in my mind, and I refuse your pull.
Fair enough. Being a salvage savvy man and a very, let's say, shrewd business person, you take a couple laps of this boat up and down, and you figure you could probably salvage most of this for scrap. There doesn't seem to be much cargo on board. There are several tanks that you assume are filled with air, but you don't know. You haven't like checked them or anything like that, and the markings on them are a bit faded, so you're unsure exactly what would be in them, but you would be able to test for that on your boat, we'll say.
Okay.
Or you could risk it and just plug in.
I don't feel like we're that late in the podcast.
Not even a little
yet.
bit.
Yeah.
But I will say something else. If you wanted to like leave some down here as like a catch or something that could be used in future moments of suspense or, you know, air depravity, air supply depravity. I don't know.
Okay, interesting.
I'm intrigued and also terrified.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I've gotten a pretty good sense of this ship. Nothing immediately salvageable, but having recently heard that probably the original job's going to be pretty easy, I'm feeling pretty good that we'll get to spend some time on this. I think I'm going to maybe head out and rejoin my crew.
Okay. So as you leave the boat, you decide to, instead of going through the tear in the hull, you just swim up the ladder to exit onto the deck, and then the deck is just in water, so you swim away. And it's a much easier and much less dangerous way of doing things, and it does not require you to pull.
Nice.
Speaking of danger, we switch over to Henry, who is hot on the trail of something? Anything?
So you said that we've previously explored
Yes.
this part of the ship, so I know where it's headed. I don't want to get too far away from Billie,
Okay.
but I want to gauge how big this thing is, like if it's a fish, if it's a other type of fish or whatever.
A shark.
Yeah, big shark.
You follow this trail, we'll say, into the galley, into like a big open room. Everything in here is again piled on the floor, which was a wall at one point, so it's fairly disorienting for you. You're shining your light, looking around. Everything is still covered in like seaweed and lichen and moss that like grows on things that have been underwater for too long. There are like pillars in this room of like supports holding up what would be the main deck above you. There's one exit well, there's a couple exits. This is kind of like a very long rectangular sort of space. At like the far end of the rectangle and the opposite corner from the one you entered in, there's like stairs that would lead above to the deck. There's like think like a sewer grate sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
On the deck of the ship, you can see up through there. And those are kind of like the two exits of this place. And as you're kind of like looking around, your light starts to flicker.
Oh, no.
Just as it goes out, you see a silhouette framed in the far doorway.
Like a person?
Mm-hmm. It's humanoid.
Oh no!
I would like to start carefully backing up towards where I entered.
Do you try to turn on your light?
Yes.
So you go to like whap on your light, and I need you to make a pull for me.
No, I do regret making the spicy pull earlier.
So Spicy Henry,
The spice has got bite.
you feel this thing watching you. You feel it sees you, and it's
Okay.
But yeah, Henry, you feel this thing's gaze on you, and as you go to like turn on your light, you hit it. The beam comes on. It shines in your face for the like instant of a second, and it like blinds
beans.
you.
Oh, darn.
And you blink several times, looking around, and you don't see anything in the room.
No, but she had a successful pull. No.
Yeah, then now I would try my radio.
Is anyone in the galley of the Rising Tide at this moment? I'm in the captain's quarters. What's up?
I'm still outside the vessel. Why? Is something going on?
We need to get back to the surface immediately, please. Thanks. Why? What's happening? What? Are you in danger? That depends. There's an unidentified person or creature in the ship. It was very close to me. I think I couldn't really see it.
Well, that's odd.
Are we? Do we need to hide? Do we need to run? Do we need what?
My anxiety level has ticked up a couple more.
Billie, you found the box, right? Any luck? Do you think we're gonna be able to get it up this run?
No, it's covered in barnacles. Lots of barnacles. Can't get it up.
Even with the three of us, you don't think we could get that out real quick?
Nope, not yet. I just think we need to surface and have a group meeting on the boat. Captain Eugene, with your permission, I'm gonna head up.
See, I don't know if I believe you, is the thing.
What, Captain? Why would I make this up? I've been nothing but truthful this entire time that I've known you for 3 years. I would just like to go up on the surface, please.
Why don't you head on up, at least work your way out of the ship. I'm gonna step in with Billie real quick and get a look at the loot, and we'll go from there.
I'm already swimming out. Like, bye.
Okay. So, Henry, you begin your ascent. Eugene, you and Billie are in the captain's quarters of the Rising Tide. You see a box with Geo. It seems to have been encased by barnacles.
Here it is, Captain, here it is, and here we go.
And I'm like, as I'm saying this, I'm like looking around, like over my shoulder, like I'm just starting to get a little like squirrely, even more so than usual.
Where's Patrice? Patrice is up. I want to be with Patrice. I want to go up, Captain.
Your rock is right where you left it. I guess it is pretty damn stuck. We'll have to resurface and restage to get an extraction plan. It's too bad, but
Extraction with demolition?
probably.
And my anxiety level starts to come back down a little bit.
I love it. So you both exit the vessel and begin your ascent. Something else I should point out, you all would know as very experienced divers that you can kind of go down as quickly as you want, but when you want to surface, you need to spend time reacclimating yourself to pressure as you come back up. The air you've been breathing is set to a very certain and specific pressure, and if you come back up too fast, your blood will foam, which is great in the horror podcast, but not great for you all as people. So you would like to avoid that, and your way of doing this is to just hang out at various depths, acclimating yourself to the new pressure before you continue to surface.
And I'm thinking of my sweet, sweet explosions. I'm mapping in my head where to put the charges the next day as we are slowly ascending.
And I assume while I am hanging out in intervals getting back up, I would be watching for them and around them, trying to like make sure whatever the fuck this thing is not near them, please.
Once they exit the rising tide, you see their pinpricks of light as they start to ascend behind you. You go through your stages of ascension, waiting the appropriate amount of time. It's a very tense period for all of you. Normally, this is where you would just banter, or, Billie would talk about explosions and tell you stories that Patrice told. This time, you're all just a little bit on edge. Something feels off, and splash, you're back on board the Charlotte. Henry has beaten you both by, say, half an hour. Nothing major, just enough for him to get out of his diving clothes and into something a bit more comfortable.
Plaid shirt, obviously.
Plaid shirt.
Different plaid.
Different plaid.
In the time that I have beat them, could I have tried with my zero artistic talent to have sketched the silhouette that I thought I saw?
Sure. It's not particularly great because your character, as you so helpfully yourself said, doesn't have much artistic talent.
Look, I'm really good at drawing rocks. Anything else is not great.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You're able to draw like the murky outline of like a figure in water, and you're able to show it to Eugene and Billie as they surface and, change.
As Henry tries to do this, though, like, Billie has become extremely focused in, like, doing her calculations now. And, like, when Henry shows it to her, she just kind of, like, glances at it and then, like, looks away and then plops herself down on the floor in the middle of the galley with Patrice watching over her, and she's just like bent over her notebook, like scribbling in it, muttering, like talking to Patrice, laughing at weird times. Like, this is her like calculation period, and it's very frantic and manic, but she has Patrice there to check all of her calculations, so it'll be fine.
Okay. Eugene, what are you doing?
I don't know. I don't want to be a dick, but I don't feel like I believe Henry.
No, that's fair.
Definitely taking that with a grain of salt.
Okay.
I think, we take some time to change, decompress a little bit, and I'm going to say I'm going to whip up some quick dinner, whatever the quick thing you make on a ship, and we're going to plan to, regroup over some supper.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
As long as there's yogurt. Billie loves yogurt.
What flavor?
Blueberry.
Good choice. Solid.
You are all talking over dinner, Eugene, you've made pizza rolls in the microwave.
Wow.
Billie, you have your blueberry yogurt, and you're all dining in your very small mess hall, which is just a table. You have a small boat.
What does Bartholomew think of the pizza rolls? What is his reaction to this?
So, did you see the box?
G-O. Barnacles, G-O.
Yeah, we located the target, and we're now just going to strategize and make sure we have a plan to pull it up. Assuming this is all you need from this salvage, there's a little other piece of business we may try to take care of while we're in the area. I'm sure that won't be too much of an inconvenience to you.
Can't say that it will, provided my business comes first.
Yes, of course.
How well known is this particular wreck, Mr. Orchid? Was there the potential of other people having attempted to salvage it before and maybe had a horrible accident and maybe resulted in floating corpses maybe in this wreck, perhaps?
Don't know anything about that. I don't think that this is a particularly popular wreck. I'm not sure that knowledge of its location is widely available. You don't seem happy with that information, lad.
I show him my beautiful sketch that I'm very proud of. So when we were down there, I encountered upon recollection, I'm not quite sure what to make of it.
Are you sure it wasn't your own shadow, lad?
No, sir. I've been doing this job for a while. I know what the underwater landscape it looks like. Speaking of the rock formation in this particular part of the ocean is kind of unusual. Not really what we'd expect.
I don't know what to tell you. I usually don't concern myself with things below the waves.
Rocks are full of wisdom for us all.
That they are, lad, that they are.
I'm a girl.
That they are, lass, that they are.
But no, Henry would show Billie the rocks and have her take the porousness into consideration for her calculations and stuff.
And I do this by taking the sample and taking Patrice and just knocking them together and then holding them both up to my ears.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty great.
And Henry turns just completely deadpan towards Orchid and just says, "We're professionals."
So the four of you sit around your table, Bartholomew not saying much as you three make your plans. Billie, you ready your explosives and your calculations. Henry, you steel yourself to get back in the water. You are packing extra flashlights this time. And Eugene, you are already planning for the dive where you salvage another boat. And as you're all talking, we pull back. We see your ship riding the waves, and we follow your anchor line down. And we go deeper and deeper until all light and colors fade out, and we see a single yellow eye open.
Whoa! Oh, it's the Kraken!
This episode of Dread and Breakfast brought to you by my coworker Christine and my cousin Circe, both of whom are actual diving people, and without their immense patience and putting up with my many, many questions, this episode would not be half as good as it is. So thank you to them. We'd like to thank Eli Schneider for our theme song and original music. You can find him and his new band, Open Doors, on Spotify. Additional audio is credited in the episode notes. We'd also like to thank our friend Morgan Mekoleske for this story's amazing episode art. If you want to find links to more of her work, you can check out our website, dnbpod.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at dnbpod, or find us on Twitter at dreadandbefast. If you like the show, be sure to give us a quick rating and review on the podcast app of your choice. And also, tell a friend about us. It really helps the show. Thank you again so much for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next part of the story.